Good morning. So today we're back in the kitchen with Mrs. T, and this was a request from Lucy Taggart, who I gave her this recipe a few years ago, and she said it is her go-to pudding dessert recipe when she needs something lovely and chocolatey. So today we're going to do a delicious chocolate torte. No flavourings, no fruit, just wonderful dark chocolate. Now, it's really important to get a really good quality chocolate. And I've used 70% cocoa chocolate, a dark chocolate. And that's because there's 70% of the chocolate solids, the cocoa solids, are in that chocolate. And it just makes it really lovely and decadent. If you eat it just like that, it's quite bitter, still delicious, but it is a bit bitter. But mixed with the sugar and all the other things that we have in our ingredients, it's going to be absolutely delicious. This torte should be gooey in the middle, but with a lovely crust on the outside. Not many ingredients. There are six ingredients today. So we've got our dark chocolate, we've got our plain flour, our caster sugar, we've got ground almonds, and we have eggs, butter, and a little bit of salt. Okay, so first up, in a pan, we are going to add together the chocolate and the butter. So the chocolate, I'm just going to break it up and put it into the pan. It's going to go directly into the pan. Sometimes you can do this over a bowl of hot water, a bain-marie, but actually it's not necessary as long as you keep an eye on your pan and you don't basically don't take your eye off it. So there's 200 grams here of the 70% cocoa solids. It's going to be absolutely delicious. I'm going to put that into the pan now with 200 grams of unsalted butter. Because you're using good chocolate, it's really important that you also use good quality butter. Now I have to say I am biased and I always use unsalted Kerrygold, but it is delicious. But actually I don't really mind as long as it's a good quality butter. They're a pack. There's many brands out there that you can choose. So we're going to put that on the heat. And while that's on the heat, then a low heat, and just do not forget about it. So that's over there on the heat. That's going to melt beautifully. Remember, I've got all of my utensils out here. I've already got my cake tin greased, and I've got my parchment paper here ready to go. This is a 23 centimeter loose cake tin. Just makes it so much easier to get your cake out at the end of when your cooking is done. My oven is on. It's 160 fan oven. If you don't have a fan, you can put it in 180. And again, if you have an aga, I don't know how to do agas, but there's easy converters. Okay. So while that is melting over there, we're going to do the rest of our ingredients. So we've got butter in there, and we're going to put in our eggs. So I've got 4 large eggs. Okay. So I've got 4 large eggs. I'm just going to pop it into my trusting mixing bowl. It is important that you do get the right size egg and free range, because when you're dealing, as I said before, when you're dealing with baking, it is a science, and it is quantities and ingredients that you need to take care of. Those are, and into my eggs, I'm going to put in my sugar. So this is already weighed out golden caster sugar. So it's nice and fine, and that's just I'm going to break that up a little bit. And then I'm going to pop that into the eggs, getting every little bit out. And I need to whisk this up. But this does take a little bit of time because you need to make sure, remember I'm all plugged in, last time it all went a bit haywire. You need to turn that on. Make sure it's nice and billowy. Nice and billowy, and it looks like old-fashioned custard. while that's going, I'm going to check on my chocolate very, very nicely. I'm just going to bring this all together. I'm going to whisk it for about 4 minutes. I'm not even matching the moon. Just to make sure I've got lots of air into it. And it doubles in volume really. So this is something you can do, very parent to do, when you're sibling, making sure that you've got everything out of the way and not missing anything else. And I keep going. Light, 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 light. Making sure you keep it on heat. This is now already starting to look much lighter. Much lighter. This is the longest part. Everything else is so quick. This is just a bit that takes a bit of time, but it's really worth it. And now I'm probably starting. It is very, very much worth it. It's very low. This is coming along nicely. I promise you it's worth it. Five minutes I'll take a while. Absolutely gorgeous. That is looking really lovely. That is probably the longest part that you're going to have to do. It is worth it though, to get it really, really light and billowy. Texture of old-fashioned custard. Just have to keep going. Chocolate. So, even in that minute, I was tempted to stop, but actually, even in that minute, it has really thickened up. Okay, I think that is perfect. I was really tempted to not beat it for so long because I know it was time consuming and you couldn't hear me over it. But I'm glad I didn't because it is beautifully billowing, I call that, and the texture of old fashioned custard. Now, there is our chocolate. Beautifully melted. And here's a tip I heard. I know this sounds a bit strange, but it is a tip I heard. That if you season your chocolate, literally a little pinch of sea salt into your chocolate allows you to get the full flavour of that chocolate. And I promise you, it does make a difference. I know you're thinking I'm a bit mad, but it actually makes a difference. So we've got our chocolate melted. We have our eggs and our sugar, beautifully billowy, light, and like old-fashioned custard. And then what we're going to do is we are going to pour the chocolate and the butter into the sugar and the eggs. And with this, we just want to fold it in. Okay, remember we've got that lovely billowy with air that we don't want to lose. So literally with a metal spoon, we're just going to fold it in, pour it in, fold it in, pouring it gently, getting it all in. Beautiful colour. Something just divine about dark chocolate. This one is delicious with some ice cream, whipped cream. I love it, and it's very, very easy. Then there's 5 ingredients. This is a request from Lucy. And I said to her I was going to make something else, and I think a bit of chocolatey, because my 4RT class said, Mrs. T, can you do something with chocolate? And I was talking to Lucy, and she said, what about that chocolate torte you make? I thought, wow, I shall do that for St. Ronan's. So that goes in, getting all the bits. I'll use that for Danny and Fran. Their favourite part of the baking. Making sure that's all mixed in. Sometimes it can drop to the bottom of your mixing bowl. So you want to make sure that you mix it well. Folding it in just over and over and over. Now, we're going to add in our flour. So we don't have a huge amount of flour. That's why we want to keep it really lovely and moist. Now it's not a cake. It's not going to be a spongy cake. This is a dense, moist torte, which is it's more of a dessert, Sunday lunch dessert or after dinner, rather than a cake. So again, I've measured this out, and we have 50 grams of plain flour. I'm going to sieve it in. Again, sieving it in, make sure you making sure the flour is going to be as light as can be. You want it to be as light as it can be. As you can see, I don't have any raising agents in this. So I want to keep as much air as I possibly can. A little bit more there. Oops. Start to the side of the bowl. Lovely. And then we're going to add in some ground almonds. So instead of having it fully made with flour, I'm putting in some ground almonds. And again, just folding it through. Okay, that's again the 50 grams of ground almonds. Put that in. When I've got my bowl here, I do a mental check of all of my ingredients. I've got my butter in, I've got my chocolate, I've got my eggs, I've got my sugar, I've got my plain flour, and I've got my almonds. And that is it. How easy that was. And that is, literally takes about 15 minutes to make. Okay. Now, all in, making sure it's all at the bottom of the tin. There we go. Beautiful colour. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful colour. So I've got my cake tin over here. And I'm going to pour that all into the cake tin, making sure that my paper is really stuck down. Pour that in. All over. Very easy. Getting every last dollop of this mixture into the cake tin. And what you're looking for when you take it out of the oven, this is going to go in for about 35 minutes. It might need 5 minutes longer. I think in a fan oven it's going to take about 35 minutes. And we want it to be squidgy in the middle. And you want it to have a bit of a crust on the top. It's really important we get every and the spoon. These spoons are amazing. Getting out every last bit of the mixture. You don't want any of it to go to waste. These are, they're like a plastic spoon, but they just get everything. I use them in every bit of cooking. There we go. Inside. Make sure my hands are scrupulously clean, I can assure you. And then just give it a little bit of a jig to make sure it's all gone. And then I'm going to pop this into the oven, 35 minutes, 160 fan. I'm going to put my timer on because you can't be too careful. And then I'm going to check it and see. So I'm going to just do that now. Oops. Really important. I'm going to come back and see you soon. Okay, so the beeper is going. So my cake, I'm going to check my cake. Let's see if it's done. Onto a very bog standard metal dry tray. That's come out clear, which is brilliant. And then I'm just going to loosen it from the edge of the tin with a knife, just to go around the sides. It's really important to leave it on the rack so that you get air from the bottom as well as from the top. So I'm just going to, this is very hot, so please be careful. I'm just going to open that up there. Take that off. There you can see I have a lovely bit of crack on the top. And then I'm very gently forgot to get out my cocoa powder. And with my cocoa powder, I'm literally just going to sieve. I'll probably wait for this to cool down a little bit, but I'm going to sieve some of the cocoa powder just over this, and I'm going to pop it onto a lovely cake stand there. I'll take a photograph and I'll send it to school. But that is a very simple, delicious chocolate torte, and I defy you not to enjoy it because it is absolutely divine. Enjoy.